All right, without further ado, I'd like to invite to the stage Mr. Corey Goode. Yeah, baby. Put your hands together for Mr. Corey Goode. You are so loved. If you want to, whatever you think. All right. Well, it's been quite an evening. You guys ready for some more? All right. So this is our intimate question and answer with Corey Goode. So what we're going to do is we have some questions.
I wasn't told about the intimate part.
Oh. Vivian, where are you? It's very intimate.
I thought it was general questions.
Close the door. Okay.
Oh, no.
We had some questions come in on the live stream. I thought we would open with that. And then obviously, brother, whatever you feel like you would like to share.
Cool.
And then what we're going to do is there is a microphone right here up in the front. So we will then switch gears, and then you will call up one question at a time, and you can ask Mr. Goode whatever you like, within reason.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Where's the live stream camera?
There's 3 live stream cameras in the back. So
Okay.
we can wave at the live stream.
Okay.
Oh, wait. We're good? Okay, there's the
That
live
one?
stream. Okay, here we go. So he's like, cut it. No, okay, we're good. We're live around the planet Earth right now. Okay. First question. Can we talk about any information on the buildings and beings on Jupiter?
Buildings and beings on Jupiter.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of information that's been coming through with people astral projecting and working upstairs, and there's a lot of activity on Jupiter. Just thought, any insights on that?
Myself, I don't have any direct information about beings or buildings on the surface of Jupiter. There has been information about certain beings that live on moons of Jupiter. Now, this is more, in the secret space program, it's more like what you could touch and categorize. And a lot of what we're connecting with, they cannot connect with, touch, and categorize. And most of my, except for the blue avians, most of my experiences have been of that nature, alongside other people in a ship that could touch things and categorize them. Although they did have more esoteric ideas than scientists down here.
I like it, I like it. All right, question number 2. Are the inner Earth beings helping, and if so, in what ways?
They claim to have been they've been here helping for at least 6,000 years, if not more, helping civilization. And according to Kari, during times when they knew cataclysms were coming, they would go and find spiritually aligned people, and also people of a certain genetic lineage, and bring them below ground to keep them safe. After these cataclysms had run their course, they would bring them above the earth again, and then begin to help them set up civilization again.
Beautiful. All right. What is a good mechanism to download their cultural tech and utopian views? What are some ways it's good to bring that information down and make it real for the people of Earth? Or I would say the beings of Agartha, inner Earth, some
Oh.
of their cultural beliefs. What are some of the things that they have figured out that we're still trying to figure out on the surface?
Right now, we're trying to wrap our third density minds around a lot of these concepts. Just as you had Ezekiel trying to describe with words of his day what sophistication they had, what he saw in the sky, we have the same problem now. We're not as sophisticated as we will be. We haven't gone through this consciousness renaissance yet. Once we do, we're going to be more on par with these fourth density beings that are more aligned with love, emotion, and coming out, trying to get the surface population to, wow, I mean, you see the news, right? Yeah. I was joking earlier today, people actually sit back and say, if there were aliens, why wouldn't they come down and visit us? You know? I mean, that's a pretty easy question to answer.
Yes, very much so. Any information on the usage of Stargates and what starseed races are allowed to use them?
There are no restrictions on who can use them. If you have the knowledge, you have the ability to travel through them. Now, we have a Stargate up here, and all of us are learning to access it and manage it more and more, especially as these energetic changes are occurring. So we have access to the cosmic web through remote viewing, through astral projection, and the people here, I know, most of the people here have definitely had these experiences, or you wouldn't be here to listen to someone like me.
Yes. One of the questions that came through was, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Antarctica and some of those ancient builder technology functions? A lot of people want to know what's going on in Antarctica right now.
Right. Yeah, the last I've heard in Antarctica, there were... They've been deciding whether or not they're going to wake up a certain number of stasis beings. They haven't found a way to wake them up one at a time. There seems to have been put a fail-safe on the device that would prevent one of them only from being revived. So you have to revive them all at once. And the various powers that be that are deciding whether to do this or not have basically set a tactical nuke around these beings. They're so afraid of them that you know, they have it on a dead man's trigger. In case something happens, they can release the trigger and take out the area that has these stasis beings in it.
Awesome.
So, what was the? I veer. Sometimes I veer way away from the question.
I'm getting pulled into a stream. I'm like, Corey, let me into your mind, Quaid. Okay. Awesomeness. Okay, as far as the Earth Alliance, a lot of people want to hear the positive stuff the Earth Alliance is doing. I know there's a lot of things happening right now, all over from the financial system to a lot of things that's been going on. What are some of the things that the Earth Alliance has been doing right now to assist humanity?
Well, the Earth Alliance, first of all, if you want some sort of angelic being to start fighting for your freedom, then stand up, because there are none out there on the physical realm right now. These Earth Alliance people are very damaged. They used to work directly for the cabal groups, and they got to a point where they said enough. So these are very damaged people that are fighting for us. That's why we need people like us to get out and inspire people, to get out with signs, marches. Even more important, according to Tier Air, is that we start coming together to do guided and focused meditation to try to affect the mass consciousness. So that seems to be the way that these beings are leaning. They don't really seem to be too wrapped up in people believing in them, but according to Tier Air, that's of no consequence. But what's important is that we try to find a way to help everyone look inside and start focusing on themselves, because we've got to change the world, and it's going to be one person at a time. But when we have people like this that will come together, if we can marshal that force, then we're going to be able to make a big difference, in my opinion.
Agreed. We are the change. All right. Hey, I'm just having a blast up here. You guys having a good time?
I'll have what he's on.
This is awesome. Everyone across the planet, what's going on? Okay. So I'd like to talk about something that's dear to my heart. Can we talk about some of the guardians of Saturn, and especially some of my homies that are the third moon off the right-hand side? I got a lot of friends upstairs that are from Saturn. I know you had a great experience up there. I'd like to hear a little more insights from you about meeting them and obviously some of the stuff you went through.
It's more of an uncomfortable experience. I'm supposed to meet with some council of Saturn at some point, but to this point, it has not occurred.
Okay.
I did meet with the Sentinel at that pretty much vacant base.
Understood.
But that was more of an uncomfortable experience. Apparently, when I meet with this Council of Saturn, there's going to be some very interesting conversations. Let me just put it that way.
Yo, bro, to save me a seat, you know? Put me on the call sheet. Okay. Anything that you wanted to share that's the new? Anything that you've been processing or talking about recently? Anything that you wanted to share, from your heart about, what we should be doing down here, and many of us star seeds and star blossoms? I love that. Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
I'm a star blossom.
I'm gonna
What's a
steal
star
that.
seed? I'm blowing up.
Yeah. We need to put our hands together for Bridget. You were a natural.
Yes. Yes. She's awesome. Words of wisdom from my brother.
Of course, we all know it is not easy being a starseed. And I have people that actually send me emails asking how they can get into the secret space program. I'm like, have y'all listened to a word I'm saying? And I also have people that are envious that I have this communion with the Blue Avians in Kari. But these beings do not pat you on the back. Apparently, there's very little time for us to affect change in this world. And they definitely are not, they're pretending like there's very little time. It's very little patting on the back, if any. Usually, as soon as I deal with one thing they've pointed out about me that makes me look like a jerk, they find another thing. So don't be afraid to do the inner work, to shine the light on the things that you've had buried for a long time. Once you do deal with those things, you will become a star blossom.
All right. Since I'm from California and that we were in that drought for quite some time, can we talk about a little bit about some of the bases that were taken out, that were controlling that and trying to modify the weather, and now it's raining in California again? I know you had a good dissertation on that in Conscious Life LA, if you could.
Right. What I was told is that what had occurred is that when they had turned off these devices that were affecting the weather, that there was some sort of like snapback of the weather. That's why all of the rain
Came back to California.
Right.
Yes.
As far as bases being taken out, I haven't heard of any of the HARP or weather modification bases being taken out, but some of these bases that were on paper are owned by FEMA, but are really controlled by these unacknowledged programs, have been taken out. They've sent in the Marines, so to speak. They have had these guys break through the concrete, cut through the rebar, then cut through the steel and go and offer the people one opportunity to surrender. And if they don't, they're ordered to wipe out the entire base, which sounds pretty biblical if you ask me. And some of these Marines have had a lot of PTSD because they were not informed that they might run across anything non-terrestrial. Yes. And they went in there expecting to come eyeball to eyeball with human beings, but instead they came eyeball to eyeball with beings that looked like their idea of the devil.
Yes. That'll give you nightmares. All right. Yes, sir, I'm going in hot. And you're like, oh no, what has happened to me? We won, but I don't know if it's worth it. So, awesome. I would like to, please raise your hand if you have a question for Corey. All right, can you please come on up? Giselle? Yes, of course. Step up to the microphone right there and ask Corey your question.
Thank you for this opportunity. Glad you're here, Corey.
Hello.
As you know, I work with Conscious Media, and we are constantly checking alternative news, everything, and checking the level of disclosure. And I know you talk about full disclosure, partial disclosure. Can you possibly give us a current picture of that? Because I'm hearing two stories on that.
The two stories.
Whether full disclosure is going to be happening, or it was agreed upon that we're going to have partial disclosure rolled out over years.
Right. Now, I didn't agree upon this. You didn't agree upon this.
Yes.
So screw it, is what I say.
Yes. Yeah, baby. I got you 100 years right here.
Yeah.
Try 18 months.
It is true that the Earth Alliance, the Cabal groups, all these groups have gotten together and decided that it is irresponsible to give a full disclosure. And as I've said on many occasions, it's not going to be a kumbaya moment for any of us, even us sitting here that think we have a good idea or handle on the situation. We're all going to be shocked. We're all going to be traumatized. It's going to be a very upsetting event. But, as I've said before also, all evolution occurs through stress. So this is something we have to rip the Band-Aid off, and full disclosure is not going to come from any official. It's going to come from us demanding it. And so far, we haven't done that.
And it's not being regulated. So we're going to
Right.
keep supporting all the alternative news agencies with the Media Festival and go deeper down that rabbit hole.
Yes.
100%.
And when it comes to conscious media, we're forming a media company that we're going to call Conscious Renaissance Publishing.
Love
that, we're going to try to get shows on Netflix, all over the place that are promoting consciousness and the growth of consciousness. So I think this is the way that we can affect change more than anything else, is using that 100th monkey effect by going in and using the tools that the Cabal uses to manipulate our mass consciousness to hand tools back to the population.
I support that.
Yeah, baby. Oh, there's a part two, Giselle.
Part two, stasis beings. How old are they? Who are they? Why is everyone afraid of them? How did they get frozen?
Why are you frozen and ancient?
They ate their ice cream too fast. So, a lot of them are 55 to 60,000 years old or have been in stasis that long. But a lot of these different stasis beings are from different eras, different races. They have very Asian-looking people that look very royal in some of the stasis pods. And they have people that look very like Viking or Nordic.
Wow.
There's a wide range of stasis beings.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Up next, Mr. Stanswithbear has questions for you. Okay, yep.
Hi, Corey. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
I want to thank you for your courageous heart, for stepping up in the face of all adversity. I know it wasn't easy, but you stepped up, and that's what it's about in the new world, is stepping up, right?
Right.
And as a musician, I have to ask you, what kind of music do they like? What kind of...
That's a good question.
What kind of art do they like? Just the arts, the music, the
Right.
philosophy, that's what I'm curious about.
They're very much into the arts, and not only their own, but human, earth. They love the creativity of human beings. They're very much into all the different musics that we have. And one of the strange things to think about is that some of the art missing from World War II is hanging in another solar system. Literally.
That makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah. But what kind of music do they like? Have you heard any of their music at all?
I haven't seen a top 10 list, but I know that they like our
What's
music.
popping in Andromeda?
Right.
No galactic jukebox or
No,
anything?
yeah,
like
not that I know of. I think the Akashic jukebox is what
Yeah,
most of
very
them
good,
use.
very good. Well, again, we love you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. Brother, would you like to go next? Mr. Alexander Mazone to the stage.
Nice shirt.
We're like your private fan club, Corey.
It'd be hard to
We
find
like
you in a
watch
crowd.
you on Tuesdays. All right, here we go.
I didn't know I was coming. I thought I was going salsa dancing. I was actually just wondering how I can get in the secret space program. I'm just kidding. No, seriously. No, a lot of beings, we hear a lot of things about them coming for gold. I was just wondering what they're doing with the gold.
Yeah, and that's actually, I can see why coming to Earth makes it a lot easier to mine for gold. You have an atmosphere, gravity, but there is gold and platinum all throughout the solar system. that is, I mean, we are mining it right now. So gold is used quite a bit in electronics and technology, even with the non-terrestrials. They'll find a lot of gold in a crashed UFO, strangely enough. So they use it for technology. I've heard rumors that different groups use it for different things. They, put it into their bloodstream, and do different things with gold. But the main thing I know about is them using it in technology.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, Susie, to the stage. Awesome. Susie.
How can we bring more love into disclosure? Because I cannot co-create that it's going to be a traumatic experience. So how can we bring more love into it?
With our intention, and even though it's going to be a traumatic experience for people like us as well, as David Wilcock has said, we're going to be the people that are helping the others that have just come out of being completely asleep to learning about this. So we're going to not only going to have to help them basically get out of bed and eat and take a bath. I mean, these people are going to find out that everything that they thought was true was a lie. So we have to stand in truth and do it from a loving perspective. Everything, as long as our intent is coming from love, then I think that we're on the right path.
Yes. And support one another on that journey. That's how we do that.
It was interesting. I just spent some time with William Tompkins in San Diego for something we'll be announcing later. It's still secret. Ooh, yeah, sizzle. But I was told that in the car ride home, he was asking the people in the car, what's the most important thing? And the thing that will change the world the most, I would imagine. And it was love. So that generation knows it. Our generation knows it. We just have to apply it.
That's right. Love is the answer. We'll go, yes, brother. Step on up. And then we got you over here. Beautiful.
Thank you. First of all, Corey, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Second of all of you, thank you for your service. So when disclosure does happen, and the timeline from what I have followed with you and David and a few other people, there's going to be a point when there's going to be a huge amount of people who are starting to look at the material, start to absorb it, start to understand it. In reference to the law of one and people's free will, if you were to see someone that you served with or someone that you knew or saw in the secret space program, if you run up to them and tell them, aren't you breaking their free will?
If they don't remember?
If they don't remember, right.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't say that.
Right. Yeah, that's an important
that's
little part
important.
there. Yeah.
Details.
Not, it would be breaking their free will, but it would be irresponsible because since they had gotten back and they'd been blank slated, they're going through a process of reawakening, and it would be irresponsible of me to come in and say this is true or this is not true. I try to be that way with everyone, but especially with someone who has been a part of the programs, you got to be very careful because many of them are programmed with what they call kill switches, suicide switches. So you have to be very careful, and usually it's a good idea to get these people to, if they're wanting an awakening, to a good regression therapist that has a lot of experience. That's my opinion anyway.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, you're not going anywhere, bro. You got security. You're staying right here. No, I'm just kidding. So, wait, next question. What's your name, brother?
My name's Luke.
Luke. Awesome.
What can we do as the people to get some of this technology out of the hands of the people that have it right now? Because a lot of people can't swallow the whole extraterrestrial deal,
Right.
but the technology will make a big difference, like cleaning up Fukushima.
Right.
You know, everything that's going on in Russia. Like, they can do this within an hour. It's just a matter of getting it out of their hands and doing it, and
Right.
the people would be like, whoa, what is actually going on? What has our government actually been doing? And that, to me, is the biggest first step. How can we do that?
It's the biggest step, most important step. I mean, not long ago, I had an aunt that passed away, and I knew there was technology that could have helped her. So, I mean, just imagine the masses when they find out that their mother, their wife, their sister could have been saved from something as stupid as cancer. When cancer has a frequency, just like all life forms do, a bioneural frequency, and they can neutralize that with using sound waves. But it's not being released. They're not going to release it unless we come out and we demand it on a large scale. And you're right, the ET thing just stymies most people.
Yeah.
The military-industrial complex, Sigmund, if you've been following Cosmic Disclosure, has been having me doing briefings to, you know, I've talked to an astronaut, a physicist for a major aerospace company, and they're looking at me with their mouth open a little bit, and then I talk about an 8-foot-tall blue bird, and then
They're just like, yeah, whatever, we're out.
yeah. So I do, you know, it's important for a lot of people to know, to raise our consciousness about these other beings, but we really need to focus on the technology. If we get the technology out, people will start saying, where'd this technology come from? You
Yeah.
know? And, you know, it'll be, the cat will be out the bag.
Yeah, and that's kind of like with that clean blue that's going on. That's a great technology that's coming out.
Yeah, but
the United States will never see it.
basically, you know, we've talked about unity in the community. Until we come together and organize and put aside all of our different, honestly, religious beliefs, then, I mean, if we're able to do that, we're going to be able to affect this type of change. Otherwise, I mean, we're playing the game of pitting each other's belief systems against each other and arguing. If we focus on coming together and, you know, demanding these technologies to be released, I think it'll occur very quickly.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yes. If you want to come on over. Beautiful. Of course. What's your name?
My name is Vivian,
Vivian, where are you from?
originally from Montreal. Quebec.
Montreal, just throwing it out there.
Montreal.
Awesome. What's your
French.
question?
So, question for you, Corey. I'm a biological Octurian hybrid. I was made from Octurian DNA. So, throughout your experience, I would like just to, because I'm a very curious being, would like to know if you have interact and encounter the collective consciousness for the Octurians.
I have not. But there are people in the programs that have. I just haven't, I guess I haven't been of the frequency or the, I'm not that type of starseed. Often what occurs is, you know, we've talked about the 22 genetic experiments and how it's also a spiritual experiment. And many of these beings, to circumvent cosmic law, which it's a huge bureaucracy out there, they will use their own free will by incarnating here as a human and allowing themselves to be abducted or taken to be trained and then go through a process to become activated later on. So there are a lot of different programs like that on a non-terrestrial level. And most of the people that, when you're in contact with a certain group, you're usually calling home or they're calling you.
That's true, like in the Octurian, for instance, we don't adopt people. Octurian don't adopt people. What they do is more like working with their people. There are many soul star seeds that come from Octurus and the resonance.
A lot of groups are doing that.
Yeah, it's a lot of resonance
It's-
that comes here.
From what I've told, it's like a call to the Confederation to to help not only our planet, but a few others in that manner.
Oh, yeah, and we work with many councils, including the federations, of course, because I go there all the time when I do my astral projection. I was just curious to see if you had encountered them, since it's such a very evolved and so spiritually, technologically, also they're helping humanity to ascend and to heal. Their great master healer of the soul, releasing traumatic events and emotions that has been experienced to the timelines, and
Yes.
be stored also at the cellular and the DNA level.
Well, thankfully, we have a chorus of beings like that helping us right now, because we need it.
Yes, we do. We're here to assist.
I was going to say, you're in the right place. Go ahead and put your hand up in there if you're a hybrid of some sort, one or the other. So all you guys across planet Earth, welcome to the show. And yes, thank you so much for your question. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions. Brother, and then brother. You first, brother. You're closer. Okay.
Hi, Corey. Welcome back to Arizona.
Thank you.
I live in the Phoenix area. We see objects in the sky, fixed positions more or less, flashing. They're not stars. They seem to be in low Earth orbit. I can't see them here. There's so many stars out here. We see them in Phoenix, though. You look at them long enough, they'll flash colors, greens, blues. If you look at them with a telescope or binoculars, sometimes you'll see sacred geometry type patterns and whatnot. They don't move at the same speed as all the other stars. You have any idea what that is? Those are?
Yeah. It was like this big at
It was
27.
this big, it turned
Yeah.
right, and it flashed me.
No, I couldn't tell you what that is, but I will tell you one thing. You hear about people going out and doing these mental connections to craft. That works. Most of these craft, they work on a consciousness level. These beings are doing like bioneural interfacing with the craft, and it interfaces with their consciousness. Part of their defense systems is knowing when they've entered into someone else's consciousness. So, like, if the greatest alert for them is to know that their enemy knows they're around. And the minute that their enemy knows they're around, their technology alerts them that another consciousness is aware of them. When we are on the ground looking up and we are of a high vibration and feeling at least very spiritual at that time, and we reach out to them, it sets off their little alert and we pop up on their screen. I have warned that sometimes you can run across the negative groups, but for the most part, there are mostly positive groups that are interfacing with people in that way.
Awesome. All right, brother. Last question of the night. Make it a good one. All right.
All right. Hi. My name's Darren, by the way.
What was your name?
Darren.
Darren, okay.
Nice to meet you. Have you ever heard, there's a lot of talk right now going on in the world about the financial currents really changing. And have you heard anything about the RV or the Saint Germain Fund or anything, any insider information about the financial world?
There are indeed a lot of these different funds set aside to, I guess, reimburse humanity for all we've gone through. Now, the same powers that be that have decided that we're not ready for a full disclosure have basically propped up the current system. They want to wait until there is there's basically a shadow civil war going on between a lot of these different groups. And they feel that the group that wins should be able to usher in this new way of living. And I got off the question again, sorry.
Yeah, any additional information about the financial currents and how things are changing there?
I think they're going to pretty much keep it at the status quo until there's a major event. At this point, from what I've been seeing, I don't expect a financial crash. I don't expect them to flip over to a new financial system and hand out all these and have a jubilee in the beginning. I think it's going to be a slow transition, and that transition will probably occur after a larger transition that will definitely get our attention.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Oh, okay. Last one, you. You are the last one. We will end with the lady. Here she comes.
Thank you, Corey. It's wonderful to see you.
Into the microphone, love.
My question, you've talked often about warfare going on out in the universe. And I was just wondering, after this full disclosure, how will that on Earth, how will that affect what's going on out there? Will there ever be peace out there?
I believe that the good guys are winning, basically. From what I've heard, these different Nordic groups and other groups from the Federation have pushed back the negative groups to just a very few star systems right now. So ours is one of the star systems. It's one of the footholds that they need to remove these reptilian and other negative groups from. So there are just a few worlds in our local star cluster that are going through this pandemonium. Ours, once we get full disclosure and we have this consciousness renaissance, it would just be -1. There would be 2, 3 more out there that are going through the same process.
All right. Brother, anything you wanted to say to close? Love one another.
Yeah.
Step into your power. Ladies and gentlemen,
We are one.
We are one. Absolute pleasure being with you guys here today. Give Corey Goode one last amazing round of applause. Thank you, Corey. We are now going to have a meet and greet. All right. So what we did is outside there's a red carpet.
After a short potty break.
After a short potty break. Use the potty. And then we will form a line outside by the red carpet in front of that big billboard thing outside. We're going to take
You got a red carpet?
Of course we do, bro. Come on, I take care of you. And we're going to do our little meet and greet and take some pictures out there for you guys. Again, thank you so much for coming to our conference. It's just the first night. Wait till tomorrow. Lots of things to come.
And for the meet and greet, we'll have to file people through fairly quickly. You know, we've got a fair amount of people. Each person needs 3 minutes. The math, you know, you can do the math. So.
Yes. Pictures, please.